Now we've seen piecewise functions before. That's where you have a function specified perhaps 2 or even more than 2 different ways for different parts of its domain. And PDFs are often written like this because they have a limited domain. We have to limit the domain of a PDF so that it satisfies that second criteria for being a PDF. That second criteria is that the area underneath the curve between the upper and lower bounds has to equal 1 so that all the probabilities add up to 1. So you've got some choice in how you specify a PDF. Let's have a look at an example here. If we had a PDF where the equation was f of x equals 3x squared, but we've restricted it to this domain so that the area underneath the curve equals 1, then what it's going to look like is this, but the only part that we actually want that specifies the probabilities for us for this example is this part. Now you could just say, all right, let's just write the equation of it, but specify what the domain is. Outside of that, we don't want it. And you can write it using that bracket notation, or you can write it just with that good old interval notation. I'm not sure if you can see that. Sorry about the orange. So x has got to be between 0 and 1. You can use either. You need to recognise this in case you see it in a question, but you can answer it in either way. Or you could say, let's just specify the whole thing and make it really clear that out here it virtually goes along as 0, doesn't it? And out here it goes along as 0. Now this would have a closed circle because it's part of the PDF, and so is this. Whereas this would be actually an open circle, wouldn't it? Because from then on it does this sort of thing. So you can specify this. This is just listing the probability of anything, and if we've got a probability of 0 all the way along here and here, we can specify that. Let's look here. I've said we've got y is equal to 0 when x is less than 0, or 0 when x is more than 1. But it's 3x squared if x is between 0 and 1. Now over here we've got a fancy way of doing it with the brackets. This part's straightforward enough, same as the bit above, but the part below is saying f of x equals 0 if you have the union, and that way we're basically just joining together this section from 1 to infinity, and this section from 0 down to minus infinity. Notice the round brackets here, because you can never actually reach infinity, so it's a round bracket, and these are open circles here, and that's why we have a round bracket on those as well. Now I think this is probably the easier way to go. Look, straight away it's just got less writing and it's more straightforward, but you need to know what this looks like so that you can recognise it in questions and see that it's the same thing.